In this video, I'm going to explain the different types of mental illnesses, what people usually call psychological disorders. But to make things more interesting, I've divided these disorders into 5 layers, just like the iceberg you see in front of you. We'll start from the top, the common disorders you've probably heard of, then slowly descend to the ones I'm sure you never imagined even existed. First layer, generalized anxiety disorder, is a psychological condition that makes a person feel excessive anxiety about many things, such as work, health, or relationships. Actually, almost all people experience this disorder because they think the problems they face represent a big threat to them, a threat larger than reality. It is like the student who goes to school without doing his homework. He thinks that this thing will cause a huge threat to him, but in fact, it is not that way. Its symptoms include thinking of the worst possible scenarios, difficulty concentrating, or it can cause muscle tension or stomach pain even. ADHD, or Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. This disorder is a neurological condition that usually begins in childhood and often continues or ends in adulthood. Actually, my friend, this disorder causes great difficulty in focusing and excessive movement. But this thing can strongly affect daily life, whether in relationships, work, and so on. Its symptoms include simple things like finger tapping on the table, shaking legs, or difficulty sitting in one place for a long time, or possibly talking excessively. But ADHD in general is not a dangerous disorder. Social anxiety disorder. Look, my friend, this disorder is a psychological condition that causes a very strong fear of any social situation. Usually this happens because the person is afraid that people will look at him in a certain way. But the strange thing about this disorder is that the fear of people with this disorder from social events can actually exceed their fear of death or be equal to it in most cases. This makes the person with this disorder suffer from excessive overthinking, and his face will turn red, or he will sweat abnormally. His heartbeat will increase, his breathing will become tight, and even his voice and hands will start trembling, a physical reaction to all this fear.
Insomnia. Insomnia is a disorder that causes great difficulty sleeping, or it can make you sleep for short periods only. Actually, this disorder can affect a person's life drastically. It can last for days, or it can last for months, and even years. The person suffering from it will feel constantly tired, have weak concentration, a moody temper, and generally weak performance in life. Sometimes, in rare times, it can cause excessive productivity that is not even logical. Phobia. Phobia is a kind of fear that controls a person towards specific things. Usually, the person suffering from phobia is afraid of something in an unjustified way. But actually, phobia can have thousands of types, like fear of dogs, fear of heights, tight places, blood, needles, holes, or even seas and oceans. You will really find the person with phobia reacting toward the thing he fears as if he is literally facing death.
Now, my dear viewer, we will move to the second layer of the iceberg. The disorders found in this layer begin to affect a person's life more than acceptable. Bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder is a condition of strong mood swings that make a person go through manic or depressive states. For example, your activity can increase unnaturally, your self-confidence can increase abnormally, or you might get sudden anger or sexual excitement. You can even feel emptiness, deep sadness, or have thoughts in your head telling you to do things, to leave this place. PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. This disorder usually happens after a hard or frightening event such as wars, natural disasters, serious accidents, or even physical assaults. This disorder makes the person remember the event he fears continuously. And by remember, I mean relive it again and again. This can cause social isolation, quick and excessive anger, problems with sleep and concentration, and constant, continuous fear. You might think it is a simple thing, but believe me, it's the opposite. Because if I wanted to describe it, it's like you're living the scariest moment of your life over and over again, and each time you feel as if you're living it for the first time.
Borderline personality disorder. This disorder is a state of sharp mood swings and unstable judgment, which negatively affects a person's relationships. For example, intense love can turn into intense hate for the simplest reasons. So, if a woman suffers from this disorder, you will find her extremely attached to her partner. But as soon as he makes a very small mistake, she gets angry, and that love turns into hatred. Or, if he becomes busy for a short while, she will try to contact him in any possible way. And if she can't, she might try to hurt herself or him even. Actually, this disorder can cause tragic endings, my friend. Now, we move to the third layer of the iceberg. This layer contains strange disorders, but not extremely dangerous. Narcissistic personality disorder. The narcissistic person always feels overly important and constantly needs people's admiration. Without that, you will find him unable to deal with anyone. Narcissists usually act arrogantly, reject criticism, and expect special treatment from others. As far as I know, the best character that represented narcissism well is Homelander from The Boys series.
Dissociative identity disorder. This is a rare condition that makes a person split into more than one personality. Each personality inside him has its own thoughts, behaviors, and even memories. Actually, this disorder is so strange that every personality can have a different age, gender, or even language. The person suffering from it might have periods when he completely forgets what happened, as if he lost memory regarding certain events. Also, when he switches to another identity, you will find that his way of speaking, thinking, beliefs, and body language all change. What's more surprising, my friend, is that some people know that there are other personalities inside them, while others have no idea about it. Body dysmorphic disorder. This disorder makes a person focus unnaturally on flaws in his appearance, whether those flaws are real or imaginary. The person has a strong belief that his appearance is deformed. You will find him obsessed with a specific body part, his teeth, skin, or anything else, and he sees it as completely deformed. This disorder pushes a person into social isolation, and if it develops, it can lead to more disorders like depression. Alien hand syndrome. This syndrome is also rare but strange at the same time, my friend, because it makes the person feel that one of his hands doesn't belong to him. Or actually, it really doesn't, because it acts with its own will. So the hand can really move on its own, grab things and move them without the person's control. It can even perform complex actions like unbuttoning a shirt, closing doors, or even attacking its owner. So if one day you see someone wearing a jacket with one hand while the other tries to take it off, that means he has this disorder. Now, my friend, we move to the fourth layer of the iceberg. And I'll tell you that in this layer, things really start to get bad. Cotard syndrome. This is a very rare and very bad disorder at the same time, known as walking corpse syndrome. The patient believes that he is dead, or that certain organs in his body do not exist or do not work, or even that all of his organs are gone and he is just an empty shell. This condition is so bad that sometimes the patient believes his body is rotten or filled with insects and parasites. On top of that, he completely disconnects from reality and falls into severe depression, because this disorder usually comes with other mental illnesses such as depression, schizophrenia, or psychosis. But the biggest problem, my friend, is that the patient might start refusing to eat or drink because he thinks he is dead, and that could actually kill him. Truman syndrome. This rare disorder makes a person believe he is living inside a reality TV show, and that all the people around him, including his family and friends, are just actors acting with him. Of course, this disorder is named after the Truman Show movie, which tells the story of a man living his life not knowing that he is being constantly watched and that his life is a live broadcast on TV. For example, one case of a man in his 30s believed that his life was a TV show, so he tried several times to escape from his house to prove that his family was hiding the truth from him. Shared psychosis, or folie à deux. This is a mental disorder that you can say is contagious under certain conditions, because it usually starts with a main person who has psychosis and emotional influence over another person or a group, and then he passes his delusion to them. For example, in one case, there was a woman who believed her neighbors were spying on her with hidden cameras. At first, her husband didn't believe her, but after some time, and due to emotional pressure, he adopted the same belief and started believing it too.
Now, we move to the fifth and last layer. This layer contains the rarest and most dangerous disorders. What we don't know about them can't even be compared to what we do know. Frigoli syndrome. The person suffering from this disorder believes that many people he sees are actually one same person who keeps changing his name and appearance. The patient thinks that this disguised person is trying to follow him with bad intentions. For example, a man in his 30s started believing that his boss at work was actually his old friend, but that he keeps changing his name and appearance to deceive him and ruin his reputation and life. Capgras syndrome. This disorder is also known as imposter syndrome, because the person believes that one of his family members or friends has been replaced by a fake person identical to them. He thinks that there is another entity taking the shape of the person he loves, but it's not actually them. Imagine how terrifying that is, my friend, even though such a thing is, of course, impossible. Possession syndrome. This disorder makes a person feel as if he is being controlled by external entities. You will find that his behavior completely changes, and he might have seizures or abnormal convulsions. But the strange thing, my friend, is that in some cases, he might even speak a language he never learned before. Kluver-Bucy syndrome. This disorder makes a person lose the feeling of fear toward things that are actually dangerous. You will find that he has no concern at all in serious situations. He will eat abnormal amounts of food or even eat things that are not edible. He will have partial memory loss and unnatural sexual impulses. Autophagia, self-eating syndrome. This disorder makes the person start a compulsive behavior of biting or eating specific parts of his own body.
It can begin with mild actions like biting nails or fingers, but in some cases it can reach the point where the person starts eating his muscles and tissues. The person cannot control himself to stop even if he knows what he's doing. He still can't stop. Mass hysteria or mass disorder. This is the most dangerous and final disorder of today's video, because it's not a medical condition or even a clinical diagnosis. It's more like a mental phenomenon that becomes so strong it turns into a social event. What happens is that a certain emotion spreads among a large group of people: fear, anxiety, or anger. These emotions start a wave of death and chaos. I can give you so many examples. You've surely seen or heard of such things before. For example, during riots, civil wars, or many historical events that happened in the past. In the 17th century, for instance, the fear of witchcraft led to witch trials where many innocent women died horribly just because someone said they were witches. Or even the fights between football fans. You'll often find calm, educated people among them, people who aren't violent at all. But once this phenomenon starts spreading in a group, each member adopts the same violent mentality. Truly, I can only describe this phenomenon as death itself taking over people's minds.